BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Big Country Preps Wednesday night podcast, our weekly look at the area athletic scene, what happened last week, and what's going on this week. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we've got Jason Hodges, the head girls basketball coach of Stephenville, joining us. And they are perhaps one of the biggest surprises in the entire Big Country, if not the state this year.
Yeah, off to a just phenomenal start at 24-2, ranked in the top 10 in Class 4A. Having another great season. This is a program that's kind of gotten to a point under Coach Hodges where you kind of expect them to be, good year in and year out. But even this, I think you have to be surprised that they've been as good as they have, given some of the things, some of the players they lost to graduation, transfer, and some other things. But what a job he's done, and I'm excited to talk to him about it. He's obviously done just a tremendous job with that team, and it'll be interesting to kind of see his thoughts on this season, and if maybe even if he's surprised by how good they've been.
All right, before we bring on Coach Hodges, we need to thank our sponsors. First and foremost, for the love of the game broadcasting, on our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, 97.7 FM KATX out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breck, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is for the love of the game broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac out of Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a vehicle, new or used, give Rob a shout, won't you? He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Call him at 254-559-2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. All right, and with that, before we bring on Coach Hodges, we want to quickly go over how to follow basketball on Big Country Preps. We've got a number of things for you to look at on a weekly basis, beginning with what we call This Week in Girls and Boys Basketball. Both of those columns will run every Sunday night, followed by stats and standings. We think we've got a pretty good, and game coverage as well. We think we've got a pretty good package of coverage on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to have a lot of great coverage. As you've noticed, if you've checked out the site, we have made the transition from football, and we are fully diving into basketball now at multiple games every week, shooting a lot of photos, seeing a lot of teams. You mentioned those Sunday columns, very useful tool if you just want to keep up kind of with a broad view of what's going on in the area of basketball scene, both boys and girls, with some key upcoming games, kind of maybe some things you missed in the past week. And then obviously we're going to be hitting you hard as well with a lot of features. We're gonna be featuring a whole lot of kids over the next coming weeks. We expect our basketball coverage to be very thorough and have a lot of it. We're really excited about it. This is always kind of a fun time for me. I love football season, but once you get to the end of it, you're kind of ready to move into the next thing. And this allows you to do that with a couple of months where we're going to be focused really hard on basketball, covering it just like we would football, with the same level of intensity, with stats and standings and all the same things that you expect from our football coverage. So this is a fun time of year, and I'm excited to get to dive fully into basketball.
It's not empty. It's not phony when we say that nobody's going to approach the level of coverage that we're going to offer for Big Country basketball. It's not even going to be close. No media source in our area is going to provide you with as much Big Country basketball coverage as we are. It's not going to be close.
And one thing I'm really proud kind of about the way we've been able to do this the past really 5 years now is that by the time we are making that transition from the sport we just covered into the next one, I feel like that we are really hitting it, hitting the ground running, and really just flooding that market with really good quality coverage, and something I think that we really enjoy. This is something we're passionate about. We've talked about that a lot. I think you can probably tell that it probably comes through in these conversations we have. This is something we really do enjoy doing. And I love this time of year because it does give us an opportunity to really just focus on basketball, which is a lot of fun, because it is kind of that tweener sport between the football season, between the spring sports, and this is basketball time. It's those athletes' time to shine, and we will definitely be covering them.
All right, before we bring on Coach Hodges, we want to remind you on YouTube to please subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, won't you please? That way you'll get notices on when we come up with new podcasts on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and we'll be having a lot of conversations with a lot of the really successful coaches throughout our area, and it looks like one of those, Coach Hodges, is about ready to join us. So let's go ahead and get him on.
And joining us now, Stephenville girls basketball coach Jason Hodges. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having us this evening.
Coach, off to a flying start, 24-2. Just go ahead and tell us about what the keys have been so far for this amount of success.
Well, I can't say it's coaching. We've got some great kids that are coming through the program right now. At the start of the year, we only returned 4 lettermen. We had a bunch of as coaching staff, we decided to take a look at our roster, take a look at who had been on the JV the previous year. We had a bunch of freshmen up. They were 22-2 last year. The only 2 losses were coming in district play. We were going to try to match those kids up with a couple of seniors that we have. We only have 2, Maya Wilson and Lily Skiles. Third junior that came back, Audrey Brandon. And then Lily's little sister, Caitlin, decided to play this year. She played with her sister at Hereford before they moved down here. She's a big stock show person, and she decided she wanted to give it a whirl too. So she's actually helped us a lot. Her IQ is extremely high. Plays just like her sister. She plays hard. She plays fast. She plays just like they do at West Texas. And so we got together. We got these kids in the summer, got after it, went to some tournaments and things like that, played some fall ball, a couple of shootouts. And when we started the season, we really didn't expect what to we had, like I said, 2 seniors leading the way with a bunch of underclassmen, and we've got 2 freshmen up as well. And if you'd have told me we'd have been 24-2 right now, I probably would have bet $1 million on that, because not because they're not hardworking kids, but I expected somewhat of like a rebuilding year. We went 25-10 last year, lost to Oregon in the second round, and we lost some key fire pieces, that would help us out on offense. And so we had to kind of redo our strategy. We had to kind of look at our philosophies and things like that. And these kids are really, really smart. And we've hung our hat on that defensive end this year. And we're playing really well. We had an early season loss to La Pan in the Brock Showcase, and then went 4-0 after that. We lost a game at the Corpus tournament to Beeville Jones, who played really well that game. And we were kind of gassed, and I'm not going to take anything away from Beeville Jones, but I thought we played well down there. First time we'd ever been that far south, and just kind of ran into a team that was playing well at the time. So we haven't lost since, which is kind of crazy to me. We played some really good competition this year, but our kids are working hard. They're playing hard. They're bought into the system, and that's all you can ask for.
And Coach, you touched on it. Y'all lost a lot of really key players to graduation and transfer and things, but so it is a young group that had a lot of success at a lower level. Just what are some of the challenges when you have that with girls making that jump up, and how much of that was just these kids being accustomed to success and kind of just carrying that over to the varsity level?
Sure. I've always told our kids, you play junior high, it's this speed. You play that freshman level, it kind of gets a little bit faster. JV gets a little bit faster. And then that varsity game, it's like breakneck speed. And we've had some of these kids to jump from 8th grade to varsity. We had some of those kids last year to jump from 8th grade to JV. And so what's kind of good and bad is we've got, like I said, 8 underclassmen up on the varsity, 6 sophomores and 2 freshmen. So that kind of, when you start looking down the line towards our JV and our freshman teams, they're not bare, but those kids are getting a lot of playing time that they normally wouldn't get. They might have been on the B team in junior high or whatnot. And so they're at a different speed as well. So a positive to that is, all these kids are getting a lot of reps. Conversely, we've got a lot of underclassmen on the varsity, like I said. And so, we're trying to divvy out minutes and things like that. But at the same time, like you said, Daniel, it's we've got a lot of kids with a lot of high basketball IQ. They play the game a lot. They play together all summer. They've been playing together since 5th, 6th grade. And so I think that transition helped them out with that experience. And so, whereas I thought early on in a couple scrimmages, I thought, oh, okay, we're going to have to do some different things. They've caught on really quick. And it's been like I said, a very successful season up to this point.
But you got a couple of big matchups coming up down the stretch against Glen Rose. Can you talk about that? That's a good ball club you're going to be facing twice.
Yes, sir. Glen Rose is always going to be a good ball team. It doesn't matter what year it is. Coach Cazell does an excellent job over there. I call him a really good friend. You know, we have been battling since I opened up Midlothian Heritage back in 2015. We were in that Highway 67 district at one point with Glen Rose and Stephenville when I was at Heritage, and so I battled him there. Come here, knew they were going to be in our district for a couple of years. I thought maybe this past realignment they would have went and took Heritage's spot when they went 5A, but they left them in there with us, which has been great because the last 2 years we've split the meetings. They've won at home. We've won at home. We've defended our home turf. Lampass has helped us out that first year, upset Glen Rose where we got the outright district title. Last year we played the seeding game because our region is so tough. I mean, you were going to draw Argyle or Decatur in the second round, and neither of those teams are bad at all. And so it was kind of just preference of path. And, you know, Coach Gazelle does a great job. It's fun battling him. They've got some pieces that we don't match up with, but on the flip side, I think we've got some pieces that they may not match up with as well. But we go to their place January 20th, and we finish at home with them February 7th, which I kind of think is fitting. The last couple of years we've been district champs and they've been co-district champs, and we play that game, the last game of district season. So it's going to be two great battles. I'm looking forward to them. But we understand we can't. That game doesn't have as much importance if we slip up before then.
Especially in a 5-team district, would you prefer to be in a bigger district, or what's your preference? I can see pluses and minuses to both.
Sure, pluses is there's only one team that's not going to make the playoffs. So if it's not you, you're probably in big trouble. But at a place like Stephenville, we're expected to compete for district championships and regional state championships year in and year out. That's the expectation. So having a big district, I've been in that one, like I said, at 67 district when we were all in there together, and that was a 7-team district. You start district before Christmas, play 2 or 3 games, you break, you go to a Christmas tournament, you come back. I prefer really to be starting district now, like we have been. It kind of gets you into the flow. You're not having a break in between district ball games, and then you're turning around and playing a tournament. Something could happen there, but it has its pluses and minuses. It really kind of depends on what district you're in. That district we had, like I said, with Heritage, it was night in, night out. We had us, we had Godley, we had Stephenville, we had Alvarado, Life Waxahachie. I mean, it was a good experience, and it keeps you battling. Here, you're gonna have to win games, and if you don't win them, you're gonna put yourself behind the 8 ball.
And Coach, you touched on the region earlier, and obviously you got Glen Rose there, currently ranked at the number 1 in 4A, and then obviously Canyon, Levelland, Seminole. The list goes on. A very tough region that y'all are in. Just kind of, what are your thoughts on that path?
It's a very daunting path. I think 4A Region 1 might be the toughest conference in all of basketball. When Coach Thorpe left to go to Granbury, and I got a phone call, from Stephenville. Stephenville was on a short list. I enjoyed my time at Heritage. I wasn't looking to go anywhere. We had just gone to the regional tournament, had lost to Hardin Jefferson there in the semifinals, and it was one of those deals that, it's home. My wife's from here. Both of our parents live here. Our grandparents live here. We've got 2 little kids. Their cousins live here. It was an easy decision for us to come home. And when I came home, I understood the expectation. I mean, Stephenville's not going anywhere. I guess there was a time when we had Lampasas in Gatesville a couple of years ago. Maybe they'd shift us to Region 4. I mean, they shifted them to Region 1, but Stephenville's usually going to stay in Region 1. And I think it's, West Texas basketball is king. There's queen in this state. And, getting to play a team like Canyon or a team like Glen Rose or a team like Randall, it's the best of the best. And I think in order to win state championships, you've got to go through Region 1. And I think Canyon has shown that time and time again. In our conference, Randall dropping back down from 5A is going to be a tough task. You still got Levelland out there. I know Coach Barnett just won his 500th game. I battled him a couple of times when I was at Heritage. Great coach. You got Seminole, you got Decatur, you got Bridgeport. I mean, you got Sanger now who came over. It's a loaded region. Estacado's playing well right now, so it's fun. I mean, that's why you want to. To me, that's why I coach, and that's why I want to be in this region, because you win these games here, and I think you give yourself a shot at the state tournament.
And Coach, you mentioned the tournament in Corpus Christi, and just looking at y'all's non-district schedule, y'all did a lot of traveling, played a wide variety of opponents in a wide variety of locations. Just kind of talk a little about that schedule and kind of maybe some of the benefits to the way y'all scheduled.
Sure. We opened up with Richland Springs. Coach Chandler called me. She wanted to kind of beef up her schedule. They were a regional finalist team last year. They were ranked early on, and we came out and played really well. And so I was thinking, okay, we followed up that with a road trip to Burnett. They were a regional finalist team last year, lost to Hardin Jefferson, went down there and held them to 23 points. And I was thinking, okay, played China Spring, usually a pretty tough opponent. And we went to Brock. And we played La Pan right off the bat, and Coach Branson and I, we go way back, and she does a great job at La Pan. And they kind of put it to us, beat us by 15, and I kind of thought, okay, maybe this is the team that we're going to have this year. We didn't play bad, but we didn't play good. We were inconsistent, which is expected, which I thought with a lot of underclassmen. We won a couple more games, and then we knocked off Brock and Martins Mill, and I thought, okay, and then we won 10 games in a row until we lost to Beeville Jones, who at the time was ranked top 10, top 12 in the state. And I think it was kind of a reality check because we had won some games. We'd gone down to Clean Shoemaker, won in a pretty tough environment there, had knocked off Malakoff and Alito before that. But we'd kind of breezed through those first 3 games. And Beeville Jones, I think, we're kind of getting complacent, weren't doing the little things right, rebounding, taking care of the basketball, things like that. And it kind of was a wake-up call. Came back, knocked off Ryder and Dunbar, went up to Bridgeport, which I thought was a huge game for us early on in a regional contest, won by 10. And then we went down to Marble Falls, which, the dropping down from 5A. A lot of those people in the Central Texas area have talked about how they could be a really good deep run playoff team. And we went down there and only scored 29 points, but they only scored 23. And again, like I said, that's what we've hung our hat on this year. Our defense has given up 26 points a game, and I strongly, strongly believe if we're going to only give up 26, we're going to find ways to win. Broke for Christmas, came back, went down to Fredericksburg. Coach Garona had let Boswell in right at the last minute. They were supposed to go to Tampa. And with all the delays with the winter storm and things like that, she asked us if we would play them, which meant we didn't get to play Fredericksburg, which I was looking forward to, but that was okay. We knocked off Harvest Christian with it was a tap school 1A, but they had won 23 games. They're scoring 60, 70 points a game. They had a really good junior guard, coach's daughter. We held her to 10 points. So that set us up with a matchup against Fort Worth Boswell, who Coach Reese does a great job. They're athletic. Something we're probably not going to see very much in our region, but it was a good test for us, and we knocked them off, beat them by 6. And so I was really, really proud of our kids. We came home, played a tough San Angelo Central team, held them to 32 points, squeaked that out, and then we opened up Friday night against Mineral Wells, and I thought we played really, really well. We are the two-time defending district champion. The bullseye's on our back, and we know that we're going to get everybody's best shot. And we came in focused. We came in with a mission and a plan, and we executed.
Coach, with the diversity of your schedule, different styles, different strengths, different classifications, et cetera, you've seen just about everything you're going to see, really. You got to be ready for the playoffs at this point. At least do you feel like you are?
Yes, sir. I do. Sometimes you catch teams that you normally wouldn't play, like a Saginaw Boswell or like a Beeville Jones going all the way down to Corpus, to play. And that was something that we wanted to do for our kids. They've worked their tail off, and then they fundraise. And so that was our big trip. And you never know who you're going to meet in tournaments and things like that. So we've seen teams that can throw some zones at us. They run matchup zones. They run 2-3 zones. They press us. Boswell did a great job fly trapping us. We see in your mouth man-to-man defense, like when we played Alito. We've seen teams that can shoot the ball. We've seen teams that run sets out the wazoo, like Brock and Martins Mill. We've played state tournament programs, La Pan, Brock, Martins Mill, and it's one of those deals that I think that has really prepared us for our region, because it's kind of that, like, to put it in football terms, smash mouth. I mean, you're going to go out there and you're going to have to play defense, and buckets are going to be at a premium. And I honestly believe, I know Glen Rose is doing a great job and they're scoring a lot of points, but if you've noticed our last 2 years of games, it's 40-34, 39-33. And I think that's what's going to be, hopefully, these next 2 games we play them. And it'll get us ready for that region, because again, Levelland, Decatur, Bridgeport, Canyon, Randall, they all play that way. And so, and our kids are up to the challenge. They understand the situation. They understand what's at stake. And to be honest, I think they sometimes don't understand how big the situation is, because they're so young. But they just don't. It's not that they don't care in a bad way. They just don't. They don't let it phase them. And I'll tell you, it's probably been our best defensive group we've had in 4 years here.
Coach, you kind of touched on it, that you thought maybe, with the turnover y'all had, that you might be in for a little bit of a rebuilding year, but it seems like this program has reached a level and kind of achieved a point where y'all built a consistent winner, to where year in and year out the expectations are high for the girls that take over the new roles and those sorts of things. Just what does that mean to you, that y'all can do that, where y'all have become more of a reload program than a rebuild program? And I guess just talk maybe a little bit about the strength of Stephenville girls sports in general. It seems like the expectations are just high across the board, and kind of success is breeding success for you guys.
Sure. Growing up here and being a part of, Stephenville athletics when I was in school, I didn't play football, but I was fortunate enough to be in school when we won those first 2 state championships, and to watch that transform our school and just transform sports across the board at Stephenville was amazing. Girls basketball here has been good since the school opened. I mean, my aunt played here. My wife, who played back in the early 2000s, she played for Coach Thorpe. They've had some great coaches here, Coach Berry, Coach Thorpe twice. And now to be the head coach of a program that I think is one of the best in the state is very humbling. I can't do it by myself. I mean, I've got 2 great coaches that helped me out at the high school, and Beth Phelps and Alan Weaver. They both bring, I love offense, and the last couple of years I've talked to you, and we're scoring 65 points, 66. I'm fired up. Coach Phelps, she brings a wealth of knowledge. She played here as well, played for Coach Thorpe, so she understands the expectation. She's a defensive person, and so we might have been scoring 65, but we're giving up 45, and she didn't like that, and I understand that. And Coach Weaver came over from Millsap a couple of years ago, wealth of experience. He's been doing this for 30 years. But it starts at the junior high. Coach Green, she's been here since I was in school, and she does a great job. And I tell the kids all the time, and I tell the parents all the time, you don't always get that at a junior high. I was very fortunate enough at Heritage to have a coordinator like that as well. And things are done right at the junior high. They're taught fundamentals. They're taught the things that are needed. So when they get to high school, we can immediately start to implement things and not have to go over how to dribble left-handed or how to make a layup and things like that. And that's huge because we're not having to reteach, and we're getting right after it. And so, to be a part of this is awesome. But, I mean, it takes everybody. And our parents are awesome. They've been awesome the 4 years we've been here. The support for, we opened up district last night, or Friday night, excuse me, and the place is full, and I can only imagine what it's going to be in January 20th or February 7th. We play Glen Rose. We've got Brownwood coming up. Obviously, Brownwood and Stephenville are rivals across the board, and so that's going to be a packed gym, and it's just a testament to the kids and how hard they work. And I'm just a small part of it, but I'm very blessed to be a part of it.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time, and best of luck in postseason.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys, and thank you for covering our program.
And that was Stephenville girls basketball coach Jason Hodges. Dan, did you see 24-2 coming? I thought more. I thought 16-8 or 17-8, something like that. Good, not great. Good, but a young team in the process of getting better with what they lost. But they're stunning me with how good they are so far.
Yeah, I think they've definitely. I think they surprised a lot of people. It sounds from talking to Coach Hodges that they've definitely surprised him as well. So, but it's really impressive. I think that's what happens when you get to that level as a program. He mentioned how good the JV team was, 22-2 last year. When you're adding those types of girls with those types of expectations to the varsity, with some girls like Maya Wilson, who's a really good player for him, and some of those others that have been key pieces. Sometimes these things happen, but it's pretty wild. They've definitely reloaded as opposed to rebuilt, and those Glen Rose games are going to be a whole lot of fun. Like we mentioned, that's a top ranked Glen Rose team, one that they've played some really good games with in the past. I would expect those to be really fun matchups again this year.
We're going to find out how good they are coming up here very soon.
Yeah, and then when you get to playoffs, you'll get even more opportunities. That region is stacked, but it sounds like Coach Hodges is excited about the challenge, and it should be a fun one.
All right. And with that, it's about time to wrap up the Big Country Preps Wednesday night podcast. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we've got 3 separate subscription packages here at Big Country Preps. We got a monthly for $5 a month. We've got a semi-annual 6-month subscription where we knock that price down to $4 a month. And we've got an annual 12-month subscription where we knock that price down to $3 a month, $36 for a full year of Big Country High School athletic coverage.
We'd also like to remind you that if you see a photo you like in any one of our galleries, those are available for purchase. We have photo downloads available for $7, as well as some prints and keepsakes. So make sure you check those out on the site. You'll notice we are starting to make our rounds, getting to a lot of basketball games, taking a lot of photos from those games. That's something that we really enjoy doing and something we are very proud of here at BigCountryPreps.com.
All Big Country, all high school, all the time. Welcome home.